Joining us now from Beijing is Charles Liu. He's the co-founder of Hao Capital and senior fellow at the Taihe Institute. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with being part of RCEP and trade ties between these two countries. $300 billion in trade volume just last year and growing. We saw this example with food companies, but describe the kind of trade we're seeing between them.
The structure of the trade has changed substantially over the last 3 decades. Together with the changing economic structure of China and Republic of Korea, of course, it started with very simple things and processing of products in China with cheap labor. And now China has developed its own supply chain in the high-tech area, including 5G, artificial intelligence, e-commerce, and so on. So the structure has changed quite a bit. It's no longer labor-intensive products in China shipped to Korea, and Korea shifting consumer products to China. But now it's much more sophisticated. It's chips, chips, chips. I think that's really the core, I think, strategic focus of the two sides now.
A lot of tech. You know, the ROK has a new president. What do you see as his priority when it comes to diplomatic ties with China? Because these two countries have seen some bumps in the relationship in recent years, which included some boycotts of products and businesses over some foreign policy disagreements.
I think what we have is a situation in which, if you look at the Republic of Korea, they have to take a decision. They have to decide on whether or not to continue to pursue the commercial relationship, which benefits both economies and peoples, or being drawn into the geopolitical pressures that the U.S. is imposing on people all over the world. Now, in terms of RCEP, there's no question RCEP is going to be a massive boost to Asia. It includes, of course, Korea and Japan and China and the ASEAN countries. Now, RCEP is to set eventually a free trade zone amongst these major economic powerhouses. So it's moving in that direction. It's a common standards, export regulations, export and import regulations, and so on, into a more sophisticated supply chain. But the geopolitics is getting very complicated because U.S. is doing everything it can to suppress the rise of China. I shouldn't say the rise of China or the further development of China. What we have is a situation in which it's not the rise of China, it's the rise of Asia overall, with the Chinese market at its core. And for ROC, there's no question that the technology products, including cars, which is not a technology product, but especially the technology products like chips, semiconductors, and related products, China is critical to its further advancement. And what the U.S. is trying to do is to force Korea to, in effect, transfer its tens of billions of dollars of investment that's already made in China into the U.S. So I think the complication is really geopolitics now being pushed by the U.S. to suppress China's development, continued development, which in effect will hollow out significant portions of Korea's economy, especially its technology advantage that it has over the U.S.
So really strengthening the relationships in the neighborhood. Charles Liu, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.